Hello, my name is Emily Rose, and I teach tarot readers and the mystically minded to read Lenormand like they're talking to a friend. And today we are here to talk about the Coffin card and what you need to know. Let's get started. Now, I know the Coffin card can be a little scary to look at. And yes, in Lenormand, it is a negative card. It tends to bend negative. And when you think about what the Coffin card represents in our culture, it makes a lot of sense. The coffin can represent death, it can represent endings, it can be a loss as well. The other thing to think about when it comes to the coffin is that it can represent a period of dormancy or rest where nothing's really happening. And it can also represent an enclosed space of some kind, because when you see a coffin, it has a lid, something goes into the coffin. Now, when it comes to interpreting the coffin card in Lenormand, there are two things you really need to keep in mind. The first is, of course, your context or your question. Remember, in Lenormand, the cards respond directly to the question that you ask. So you want to look to the context to understand how to interpret the coffin. The second thing you want to look for is where the coffin is in your reading and also what cards are surrounding it. You want to look at what the coffin is modifying and what is modifying the coffin. What I mean by that is the card to the left of the coffin is going to be what is ending typically, or what is going into the coffin is a way to think about it. And then whatever comes after the coffin tends to show what happens after loss, after an ending. So, for example, if you had the sun and then you had the coffin card, you would look at that as an end of happiness potentially. But if you had the coffin card and then the sun followed it, it could be a happy ending or happiness after a loss. Of course, you want to look to your context to get the nuance for that. But the order matters a lot when it comes to the coffin card. So before you worry or kind of get emotionally triggered by a reading, you really want to look at those two things, the context and what cards surround it and where the coffin is in that placement. Now, let's look at the coffin in different contexts. If you're in a love context, for instance, and then you have something like the ring in the coffin, that could be like the end of a relationship. That could be like a breakup or something like that. Something's ending there with the partnership. Now, if you had the coffin starting things off, and then you had the heart, that could be love after loss or something like that. See how the order matters a ton here? If you're in a health context, this is where I feel the coffin tends to be the most negative. The coffin can represent illness of some form, being kind of laid up. You're not able to move around a lot. It's kind of the opposite of something like the Rider card, which is all about activity and being out and about. The coffin can be an illness, being laid up, and it can also represent a period of resting. If you're in a lost object context, the coffin can represent some type of an enclosed space. It typically represents a physical box or a drawer or something like that. So you want to start looking inside of boxes when the coffin card comes up in those types of draws. I want to leave you with two things when it comes to the coffin card. The first is a short quote by Nietzsche, which is, "The end of a melody is not its goal, but nonetheless, had the melody not reached its end, it would not have reached its goal either." A parable. So some things come to an end. It's just kind of the way things go in life sometimes. So when the coffin comes up and I can tell there's going to be some type of an ending for myself or a client, I'm usually pulling an advice spread next or pulling some tarot cards to accompany it. Now, if you do find yourself getting a negative reading and feeling a little bit down about it, not sure what to do, I do have a free post you can check out that's called What to Do When Your Reading is Negative, your 3-step action plan to changing your fortune. And I will link that down below. I give you some action steps to actually change that fortune or find some accompanying advice to help you with that. Thanks so much for watching. And to get even more Lenormand goodness, don't forget to like and subscribe.